Hello, everyone, and welcome to LaunchBox 2023 Demo Day. My name is Joseph Lanzalata, and I manage the Student Entrepreneurship program here, but the job today is to be MC, which means that my main job is to keep things running smoothly. I have the great pleasure of welcoming up to kick us off the CEO of Tangent, Ken Finnegan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Demo Day 2023. It's an absolute pleasure to have everybody here today. It's really, really great to have a bunch of nervous students sitting here right in front of me. You are going to knock it out of the park. I have so much confidence in you. But everybody else, you're very welcome. We're excited to celebrate. This is our 11th iteration of LaunchBox, but it's our 10th anniversary. So a big year this year for us. We've supported over 100, and I have 110 on my cheat sheet here, but it's actually 113 because I think we took an extra few in 2019. Providing those 100+ companies with over €1 million in equity-free investment of €10,000 each over the 10 years. We've got a wonderful group of amazing students right here, but we've also got lots of past participants and past LaunchBoxers in the audience today as well. I just want to talk a little bit about just this year's cohort. 56 applications this year for the program, and of which 10 were selected. The program ran from the 7th of June to September the 7th. As I mentioned, this is the 11th cohort. The actually really nice part about the equity-free investment of 1 million, it's resulted in X100 in terms of investment into those companies. So the companies, the startups that participated on LaunchBox, they received €10,000 each. They've raised between them over $1 million, so it's X100 return on investment. So it's a pretty good, kind of like, pretty impressive number. This year we have great diversity, let's say. So 8 teams from Ireland, and we've got 1 team fully from the US and 1 team from US and are with US and Colombia founders. 3 projects in the healthcare industry, 3 female-led startups with a 4th female co-founder. 2 hardware startups, which is unusual. Normally we don't have hardware startups, but this year we have got 2 of them. And we're so thankful to everybody who's contributed to the program this year. We've had representatives from Enterprise Ireland, Amazon, Deloitte, Atlantic Bridge. Des has come in and offered his support with our teams. We've had so many people just offer great support and mentorship to our team. So we're very thankful to everybody. Ed from Green Tech as well, who's one of our judges today. Thanks for your support also. So we're very thankful to all our supporters. I know nobody came here to listen to me go on today, so I'm going to finish up shortly. But I just want to wish everybody here the best of success today. You're all winners. You will always be winners. It's like you got onto the program. You've demonstrated that this is the first chapter. Whatever happens today, stay in touch. We want to hear your success stories, and looking forward to today. Enjoy yourselves, okay? All right. Thank you very much.
You put it right up there? I got you. LaunchBox Demo Day 2023 has officially begun. I have the great pleasure of welcoming in our 3 judges on the day. I'll go from right to left. We have Ed Murphy, as Ken identified before, co-founder of Green Tech HQ, entrepreneur, massively successful in his own right, and this year, LaunchBox 2023 sustainability partner. Let's give Ed a big round of applause. Thank you, Ed. Next, going across, we have Lizzie Hayashida, a LaunchBox alumni, founder of Change Donations, and now the Director of Community and Ecosystem over at Dogpatch Labs. Let's give Lizzie a big round of applause. And last, but certainly not least, the head of entrepreneurship here in Tangent, Gavin Drowan. Round of applause. I do want to welcome our new CIEO, Michelle Olmsted. She is here. Big round of applause to Michelle. A shout out to everyone who's here today. We are excited to get into things. You guys have the hardest job on the day. As our judges, you are going to have to make the decision at the end of the day as to who will be our winners. You guys have the 3rd hardest job, which is to give rounds of applause as everybody comes up and leaves. You guys probably have the 2nd hardest job, which is getting up here and presenting all of your amazing companies. I have seen you do it before. You guys are going to do incredibly. Are we ready to start the pitches? Yeah. Let's go. Amazing. Help me to welcome up our first presentation of the evening, our first team, Hebe Adventures.
Growing up, my family hosted kids and teenagers from all over the world. I had the privilege of seeing the magic that occurs when you connect your family with complete strangers, the connections that you make and the memories that you form. Unfortunately, it wasn't perfect. If we didn't connect with the student, it could become a real nightmare. It was a nightmare for my parents to manage the hostings, and it turned out that we were paid really poorly for the service we provided. Funnily enough, when my co-founder Rohan was 15, he flew to France and stayed with a host family. Shortly after arriving, he felt totally at home and part of their family, and he had an amazing 2 weeks where he made friendships that he still keeps up to date with and memories that he still reminisces on. Unfortunately, his experience wasn't perfect either. It took his dad months and months to find a suitable host family, and when he did, he had very little trust in the company that he was using. When the trip came around, he actually flew to France with Rohan, met the family, and flew back to Ireland in the same day. So myself and Rohan came together and we knew we could build a much better solution. One that focused obsessively on the experience that our customers had. One that put trust and safety at the forefront of everything we did. And one that we could scale internationally to allow young people all over the world to have this opportunity. But before we jumped into it, we did a tiny bit of research and learned two really important things. Firstly, we learned that the market was much bigger than we'd expected. And more importantly, it was ripe for explosion. The second thing we learned was that the business model we were going to deploy has birthed some of the biggest companies of the last 15 years. So with that, in 2022, we founded Hebe Adventures. We are a digital marketplace that connects young people that are eager to travel with host families. We're on a mission to enable young people to explore the world freely and safely. So in 2022, we had one goal, and it was to acquire customers. And we did that because we knew we could build a perfect product as long as we were talking to our customers. We achieved revenues of €210,000 while doing that. This year, we've had two primary goals. The first has been to grow revenue, and the second, more important goal has been to build out that customer experience. By the end of the year, we'll have achieved revenues of over €300,000, and we've launched some amazing features. But most importantly, we've built a product and experience that our customers love. If anyone got to scan the big green QR code in the way, and you get a glimpse into the magic that we create. Next year, we have two primary goals. The first is to increase our revenue by 400%, and the second is to nail our product market fit. In doing both of those things, we'll put ourselves in a position to be able to scale our host family network internationally. Yeah, that's really it. Thanks very much for your time, and we'll take any questions now.
Thanks, guys. Always difficult to go first. Can you talk to me a little about the process then around scaling? Because like you've been building it in Ireland with the family relationships. How are you going to go about scaling that internationally?
Yeah, sure. I'm Rohan. Good to meet everyone, and thank you for that question. So really, with scaling, I think the biggest challenge with scaling is scaling the safety element, because that is the most important part of this process, because we're working with kids. So what we do is we have a triple vetting process that we actually go and meet these families in person to ensure that these are the right fit, and we also Garda vet them to make sure they're all allowed and able to host these kids. And so scaling that part, one of the things we're going to do is we are going to have some of our trusted host families to actually go and vet some of these families as well. And then what our process is for growing into international markets, so we're going into the US next, that's our big goal. And how we're going to do that is we're going to target two of the areas that are most populated with international students. So we're looking at Massachusetts and New York, and we're going to have a team over there who are going to ensure a quick integration into that market.
Cool. Great job, guys. It's great that you have the revenue coming in. Can you explain to me what the business model is? How is the revenue coming in now?
Yeah, sure. So on average, so our business model is we take a commission. So we take on average 33% commission per trip. And this may seem large when you look at things like Airbnb and other marketplaces, but actually in this industry, agencies are taking over 100% commission on these trips. And this is why it's such a big disruption, because you're going from over 100% to 33%. So we're actually saving these parents a significant amount of money, and we're also able to pay our host families significantly more.
Tell me, you grew by effectively about 50% from 22 to 23. How are you going to go from 50% growth to 400% growth next year?
The big thing was in the first year, we just wanted to figure out how to get some customers. And this year we've nailed those acquisition channels. So we've been able to really focus on what works for us and stop spending money on those channels that didn't. And if we were to have effectively spent all of our advertising budget on the areas that work for us, we would have been able to achieve that growth this year. That's why we're so confident we'll be able to do it next year.
Tell me, what's your organization chart look like at the moment?
Oh, very, very messy. It's
30
the
seconds.
Two of us, and we have 2 developers who work under me. We have a jack of all trade, and we have, I suppose, a paid advertiser as well. But it's really at the moment all hands on deck to get us towards our goals.
And I'm very focused on the customer and operational side of things, where Robert's focusing mainly on the technology side front.
Great job, guys. Let's give them a round of applause. Well done. Well done. Amazing. That brings us to our second presentation of the night. Help me to welcome up Trinity.
Hello, my name is Hannah, and this is Trinity, the platform streamlining the peer review process of biomedical research. We directly connect peer reviewers, researchers, and journals, something that hasn't been done before. Peer review is about 350 years old, and medicine has changed a lot since then, but peer review simply has not. And based on our interviews with customers, we know that the pain of peer review is probably just as bad as getting a surgery like that. Now, it takes 3 months to get 10 hours worth of work done. And that's 1 peer review for 1 biomedical paper. And there are about 2 million published every year. Peer reviewers are difficult to source, and they work inefficiently. And now, fair enough, these people are not getting paid. Now, look at the likes of Abbott or AbbVie. They get a drug patent that lasts around 20 years. 12 of those years are spent in research and development. And of those 12 years, 2.5 years are spent waiting in peer review. Now, what if we could get that down to 1 year? And we can. The value that would add is over $300,000 per drug. And that's not including the reduced R&D costs and the competitive advantage of publishing earlier. Now, these guys can't just simply pay peer reviewers, because that would be unethical. But they could pay an independent third party like Trinity. So journals and labs, both private and academic, pay subscription yearly to Trinity to avail of our peer reviewers. So what happens is, the researchers submit their paper via Trinity to their chosen journals, and the journals receive these submissions with recommendations from Trinity for suitable and available peer reviewers. The peer reviewers complete their work within 2 weeks, and they will be paid. Research ultimately is published faster. So we began building the business at the very start of LaunchBox, and since then we've recruited 27 Trinity peer reviewers, and we're now working with a journal, a new journal under Frontiers, which is the 6th largest research publisher in the world. And we're finding peer reviewers for them. And now, to be fair, now the process is manual, but we are working with our customers to provide them with the platform that they need. And look, AI is essentially the future of everything, including peer review, and we are well aware of that. The data that we collect could be used to train our own peer review model, and we will maintain our loyal customers that we have treated fairly. Now, the team is myself and Fatima, my co-founder. We're both Sligo women, and Fatima studies biomedical engineering, and she has plenty of experience in startups. And for myself, I study human health and disease, and I am deeply passionate about health policy, management, and all things biomedical ethics. And we have been blessed to have such a brilliant mentor this year, Dr. Eric Reiser, throughout LaunchBox, as well as having advice from both Pat McCann and Dr. David Lee, who we'll continue to work with for the rest of LaunchBox, or the rest of the time. Thanks very much for listening, and you can go on to the website if you'd like to register your interest to be a peer reviewer or anything at all. Thank you.
Thanks, Hannah. Can you tell me a bit about your pricing model? Because you spoke there in the presentation around saving some of the medical companies 330 grand, which sounds like a lot, but it's probably not in the overall costs of developing a new drug. So how are you pricing, or where are you looking to price the service to some of these companies?
Yeah, so like the over 300 grand is actually relatively small compared to I think it costs 2.3 billion to get a drug to market, so 300 grand isn't much. But ultimately, when you think of all the people that are involved in this, we're targeting journals as well. They are currently paying associate editors average 60 grand a year, and they spend half of their working day sourcing and communicating with peer reviewers. So I suppose the value of that there, like you could put 30 grand on that. So ultimately, when it comes to the pricing varies based on the customer. Journals would be paying more, probably about 30 grand a year, something like that, depending on the size of the journal also, a lot of different factors. And when it comes to the researchers, ultimately all of these institutions are broken down into smaller labs. So we would be charging just under 5 grand simply because we can avoid the tender process and make it more attractive for these people to buy the product. And ultimately, that's just one lab amongst many within an institution. Yeah, I think that answers the question.
So you mentioned that AI obviously is the future of everything. With peer review, when you think of how that will fit in the future, are you thinking it'll take the place of AI? Will peer review go away altogether, or is it just the matching? How are you thinking about that?
I think, yes, ultimately the way that we are doing peer review is old school. But like at the same time, it's been around for a long time. And we have, like I've spoke to the head of peer review innovation in Elsevier, and ultimately, not much has changed and not much will change. But I think eventually down the line, AI will be implemented. That is obvious. But I think by growing a loyal user base and customers, because we are ultimately paying them for a service that they normally would do voluntarily, that when it comes down to AI replacing it, that hopefully Trinity is the place for peer review.
Just a quick question. Quick question. I really want to understand who pays you. Where does the revenue come from? Really, I got an idea, but it didn't come across very clear as to who pays.
So both the journals and the labs pay. And the peer reviewers are free to join this service, and they earn. Because ultimately, we're trying to encourage peer review.
Yeah.
And now the interesting thing is that labs, the researchers within labs, act as both the paying customer, but also the peer reviewers.
Yeah.
So I suppose by encouraging them to join a platform that they have, for a service that they are already doing for free, say if there is a little bit left in the budget, funding for a lab, right? Now, that can't be brought over across another year, but it could be spent on something like Trinity, and ultimately, if you're going to be doing your peer review regardless, you have spent the money that will eventually come back around to you. Don't know if does that?
Yeah, well, if I'm asked out of 100, what percentage would come from, let's say, the journals?
30 seconds.
The journals, okay, right, now I'm trying to do some quick math in my head. Right, 6 times more from the journals than the labs, the individual labs. And now a lab is just like maybe an average lab is about 12 people, I'd say. Yeah, but you've got multiple labs in one place.
The journal is the biggest. Journals are the biggest.
We're going to have to leave it there.
Yeah, but ultimately there are many labs within one institution. So it's kind of equal in that way, yeah.
Perfect. Well done. Big round of applause. Great job. Great job. Help me to welcome up Superfresh.
I'm James, this is Daniel, and we founded Superfresh.
So cheese factories in Ireland are left with hundreds of thousands of litres of waste whey every week. 90% of the milk used in the cheese making process ends up as whey. So currently there's only 2 ways that farmhouse cheesemakers can get rid of their whey. They can either spread it on the land surrounding the cheese factory, however this burns the grass, and if it gets into waterways it causes eutrophication and harms the wildlife. The only other way they can get rid of the whey is to bring it to a biomass plant, however this costs thousands every week. So how do we identify the solution? Myself and James have been working for Coolini Cheese, one of Ireland's largest farmhouse cheesemakers, for the last 10 summers. We noticed a massive amount of whey was left over every week, and we thought this was a huge waste, as whey is actually a superfood. So our solution is Superfresh. We managed to create a soup that uses whey instead of a traditional stock, and the whey makes up about 50% of the soup, and we partner with Coolini Cheese to do this. So by implementing this solution, we're reducing waste and saving the environment. We're making a premium Irish product with all Irish ingredients and no artificial ingredients. We're reducing the cheese factory's disposal cost and saving the money. And while doing all this, we're creating a healthy product, really high in B12. It's really filling and it aids in weight loss.
So our market is the prepared meals market. It's worth over 500 million in retail sales 2022 in Ireland, and is expected to grow all the way to 615 million by 2027. There's going to be huge growth in this market over the next few years, and lots of potential for new innovative startups like ourselves to penetrate this growth. So our target market is young students and busy professionals who like to buy their lunch out and also care about high quality food products. Our go-to-market strategy is to position the product in places where a target market will buy their lunch out, with the likes of Fresh, Donnybrook Fair, and offices like WeWork. It costs us around €1.80 to make a soup, and we're selling it straight to the retailer for €3, leaving us with a 40% gross margin.
So far we've gone to Bloom in Phoenix Park. We sold a couple hundred pots. We're also fully HC audited and approved. Coolini Cheese have funded a kitchen for us, and they're funding an employee for the winter. This shows how keen they are to solve their whey problem, as this has been a problem for them ever since they began making cheese over 30 years ago. Any surplus soup we make goes to Clonmel Soup Kitchen. We won the Enactus Ireland national competition. We'll be going to Utrecht in October for the World Enactus competition. Our sales were 0 at the start of summer. Since then we sold about €1,500 worth of soup. We're selling about 100 units per week. We'll have 10 paying shops from the start of October, including Centra just around the corner at Westland Row. And we're well on track for €12,000 revenue per month from January. So this is the new packaging. We're working with Dynamo, Ireland's leading creator branding agency. We've been giving 2 options to go for, but we still haven't decided which one to go for yet.
So this is our board of advisors. Garrett Murphy is our sales advisor. He was the sales manager for Kyo's Crisps and brought them to 13 different countries. Rita Mara is our grandmother and the owner of Coolini Cheese. Morris McGeehan is the head performance chef at the Irish Rugby Football Union, and he'll be helping us with our recipe development. So we're both in 3rd year management science and information system studies. We grew up around the food industry, attending events like Bloom and Gifted at the RDS since we were 12 years old, and we've years of experience working together as a team and have a unique blend of skills. Thank you for listening.
Great job, guys. Thanks for that. So I guess the whey is in everything, on these like protein mixes and everything. So I was surprised to hear that it's such a hard thing to get rid of. Is that common for all cheese factories?
No, so most cheese factories that are bigger, they sell their whey to the likes of MyProtein, and then they dry it down to a powder. But for smaller farmhouse cheese factories, there isn't the same economies of scale, so the energy costs wouldn't work out to make it profitable. So there's potential to make a new product like a soup where we don't actually have to try out the whey or do anything to it. we just take the raw whey and put it straight into the soup. So there's no energy costs or anything like that. And the cheese factory we're working with has about 40,000 litres per week, and there's about maybe 30 cheese factories in the same boat. So when you add them up, it is like a lot of whey being thrown out every week.
Cool. And so that was my next question. So what's your plan for the future? Is the plan to scale past the current cheese factory into other ones? What's your growth plan?
Yeah, so as soon as we start using up like all the whey in this factory, yeah, we would partner with other cheese factories who are in the same boat, who like at the moment, the only option they have is to spread the whey on the land or send it to a biomass plant. So yeah.
Are you, I really like it. And by the way, can I say from a judge, I feel insecure as a judge, and that probably no matter what we say today against anyone here, the people that we might put number 10 could probably be the successful ones. So please don't feel bad if we judge not 1, 2, or 3, because it really sometimes doesn't matter what the product. It's about the resilience of the partners starting off. So, but let me just ask again: do anyone give a damn what goes into the soup, or does enough people give a damn, or is it? Might it be very difficult to have time to explain, to do your elevator pitch to the people who may be buying your potential product?
Well, from doing our market research, we find that people in the prepared meals market are continually like caring more about the quality of ingredients going into their products. So like whey actually is a superfood, and it makes the soup a source of B12. We've done our nutritional analysis testing, and it also promotes your gut health, and it aids with weight loss. And people are also caring more about more sustainable products, and it ticks all those boxes. So it is like a very premium product, and just very good ingredients go into it. So.
Tell me, how are you going to do your marketing in terms of, you going to go wide, or are you going to go narrow and create a location, or either geographic or a particular, to start get it right? I'm just genuinely concerned that you could spend all your time, money, resources, effort in terms of going wide, rather than really getting the product, the marketing, the packaging, everything right in a particular location.
Yeah, so we're focusing kind of specialty stores at the start, like kind of one-off shops, because you kind of deal with them directly and get like feedback until everything's perfect. And then when we're like 100% satisfied with our product, we'll kind of go nationwide then, and we can like leverage the cheese factory's contacts and stuff. Like there's cheese in every store nationwide, so she'll be able to help us, because it's in her interest to help us, because she wants to solve her whey problem as well. But yeah, we are planning on going narrow, because the likes of specialty stores, the consumers that go there do care about higher quality ingredients and products. Like our soup has absolutely no additives at all. The only thing that goes into it is fresh Irish vegetables and fresh whey from the cheese vats. So they're our target market, people who actually care about high quality products.
Just a quick one, because I could see Joe over your shoulder.
30 seconds.
I was going to ask about the distribution strategy. So is there sufficient margin there as you scale the business? Do you think there's sufficient margin to drive your costs down?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so right now our capacity is around 1,000 a week. And yeah, our costs are fairly high at the moment, like at €1.08. But we expect once we scale up to around 3,000 to 4,000 a week max capacity, that our costs will fall below €1.
Let's give them a round of applause. Well done, guys. Great stuff. 1, 2, 3. Great stuff. We're just past the halfway mark of our first half. So, are we ready for our next team? That's one person who's ready. Are we ready for our next team? Amazing. Please join me in welcoming up MicroDoc.
Hi, I'm Brian, and I'm here from MicroDoc, paperwork automation for medical practices. Doctors are overwhelmed with paperwork. Each week, they create, review, and send thousands of medical documents. These could be referrals or blood test results or prescriptions. And it means that on average, they lose 22 hours every single week to medical paperwork. And for a small practice, this equates to €63,000 each year. Hospitals solve this problem by hiring dozens of admin staff, but even then, they still can't cope. MicroDoc solves this. We provide a suite of automation tools around the creation, distribution, and review of medical documents. all while integrating with the software that doctors already use. Doctors use us because we save them thousands each month, we give them more time to treat patients, and we make compliance easy. Since launching our dictation tool, we've grown 30% week on week, and we're on track to do €5,000 in revenue in October. We've grown to over 110 doctors, physios, and secretaries across 80 practices. And we're in talks with partnerships with major hospital groups like the Mater Private and St. James's. Doctors have dictated over 2,800 documents on our platform and reviewed 22,000 documents. Some of the most successful names in Irish medicine trust us for their paperwork automation needs. And this is what one of the customers had to say about the service we provide. A large incumbent in the medical automation and dictation space brought in $1.3 billion in revenue last year, and they're valued at over $17 billion. This is a huge market that's not going away, and recent advances in AI means that we can build a product that's truly novel and useful. We have a fantastic team with a huge amount of technical expertise. I'm the founder and CEO, and I'm currently studying maths and economics in Trinity. I'm an Emergent Ventures grantee and programming Olympiad finalist. And I'm joined on the technical side of the business with Thomas, Vojta, Sean, and Richard, along with Daniel and Kleena in customer success. Our mission is to fundamentally change how doctors interact with paperwork, freeing them up to focus on providing the highest levels of patient care. In the coming months, we're going to start raising a seed round, we're going to expand our sales team, and we're going to launch in the UK and US. And we're also looking for ambitious, hungry students. So if you want real opportunities to build and sell product, come talk to me. Thanks for listening. I'll take any questions.
Thanks, Brian. Just two questions, really. So how many customers do you have currently? And is there any sort of danger around sort of the compliance risk piece that sort of your software is responsible for dictating into a system which could then get errors? Like, talk to me a bit about that piece.
Yeah, so absolutely. On the first customer front, we have about 15 customers. And the way we work is that we charge per practice. So a practice might have, many stakeholders, secretaries, doctors, so on. And then on the compliance piece, we have a core component of our product is the review system. So every single piece of medical information that we analyze or that we produce, we get to be reviewed by the doctor. And that compliance piece is really important because it makes auditing extremely simple, but also means that there's always a human in the loop. So we view AI as sort of augmenting the doctor's existing workflow rather than replacing.
You mentioned your competitor, the incumbent. What is the competitive advantage for MicroDoc, and what sets you apart?
Yeah. So a few things. So the first is on the customer experience, that this company is, it treats a lot of its products as cash cows. So many of them are legacy products. They haven't been updated in 15, 20 years. It means that they have really, really well-established distribution channels, which is why they're able to maintain a stranglehold in the market. But there's a huge market for a niche of providing an exceptional user experience and using automation and design and AI as sort of that differentiator. So we're focusing on building an exceptional product from a UX perspective, but also we're using some guerrilla tactics like word of mouth, and we're also using different things like land and expand, like Slack used.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask? What are your three main competitors?
Yeah. So they're probably T-Pro, Nuance that I had up there, and secretaries. So in most cases, our biggest competitor is actually secretaries or humans. So by far, the dominant competitive force in the whole medical paperwork space is just to hire someone and to use Excel.
So what are the three, let's say, technology solutions that your competitors?
Yeah, so probably Nuance, Dragon Dictate, and T-Pro.
And T-Pro. And tell me again, what's unique about yours compared to any of those? Number one, and number two, how do you ensure, or how do you work at trying to get a doctor's office to replace what they have the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. How do you make that work from a marketing point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first way is we have very, very tailored integrations. So we are very, very deliberate about integrating with the systems that doctors already use. We want to decrease friction as much as possible. So that's one of the key differentiators between us and the existing solutions. They have very poor integration with software like patient management systems doctors already use. So second, on how we get into doctors' offices and how we sell to them. So what actually happens most of the time is the difficult part is getting in there. That once we're in there, there's a huge aha moment where it's like magic that, this document pops up. Normally you take a week of, sending it off to the typist, they get it back, or, they have to read through stacks and stacks of medical documents, whereas we triage them for them. So it's a real, sort of aha moment when they see it, and then after that, it's a very easy sell. The trick is doctors are very time constrained, so it's hard to get in to see them.
Great stuff. Well done. Well done, Ryan. Amazing. We have come to our last team in the first half, so let's give them a big round of applause. Help me to welcome up Neurosonic.
Hi guys, my name is Mike.
And I'm Matthew. We're both biomedical engineers here at Trinity College Dublin and co-founders of Neurosonic. Our mission is to put your health back in your hands. We want to give increased power, access and control over your health to promote longevity. So I'm aware stroke is of a personal note to many people in this room today. Just to put the numbers in perspective, 1 in 4 people are at risk from suffering from a stroke over the course of your lives.
That's roughly the rows we're highlighting right now. So, how does a stroke actually occur? Well, most commonly, a stroke is caused by a clot forming in an artery that delivers blood to the brain. Over time, as a natural process, plaque builds up in these arteries, and it's unfortunately happening to me and you as we speak. The problem is that only once the artery is around 70% blocked is when you start to experience any symptoms or suffer of a stroke. While there are protocols in place such as FAST, FAST is too slow because it deals with the stroke once it's already happened. There are also reliable ways of screening for stroke risk, such as ultrasound, but these are often highly inaccessible and expensive, plus barely anybody knows about them. 80% of strokes could be preventive if caught in time. Just think about that for a second.
Our solution to this problem is the Neurosonic device. It's a remote stroke risk monitoring solution that uses machine learning to track your health data so that you can act before it's too late. By simply placing the device here, on your neck, on a regular basis, we can measure your health, and you can access your information through your own personal device, which can also be supervised by a medical professional. In order to generate revenue, we plan on using a subscription model, which involves a one-off payment of $49.99 and a recurring monthly payment of $19.99 per month. The fact is, healthcare is moving towards the home. Due to tremendous strides in healthcare technologies, it's become much more about prevention rather than treatment. And for this reason, the remote patient monitoring market has exploded and is due to reach $175 billion by 2027. Stroke is the second leading cause of death and the third leading cause of disability across the world. It burdens the global economy by $720 billion every single year. That's 0.6% of the world's GDP. And it's for this reason why our solution falls under the UN's Sustainable Development Goal for 2030 of reducing premature cardiovascular deaths by 1/3.
So, since receiving funding from LaunchBox, we've achieved validation from clinicians, medical consultants, and experts in the field who have said, yes, there is a place for your device in the market. We've also had a breakthrough in the lab, very promising, showing that our device works in a lab environment. And we've developed an MVP of our product, which we can demonstrate later, that's ready to go in a clinical trial that's due to take place in the next few weeks. We're Neurosonic. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll gladly take any questions you may have.
Thanks, guys. Assuming it all works, right, how defensible is it? So you've got the hardware component, which is probably off the shelf, relatively off the shelf, based on some of the cost. So is your secret sauce in the algorithm, and how protectable is that?
So the secret sauce is definitely both in the algorithm and the device itself. So I actually have some experience with patenting things. I have a patent for a medical device already. And it's all about, it's a strategic game with patents, and we're going to patent a certain piece of the device itself as the hardware to make it harder to copy us. But the definitely like the key component is the algorithm, because it's trained on a database which is going to be very big. And that's very hard to replicate, because we will be the first ones to do it. Like, nobody is doing this at the time being. The methods that are out there currently are focused around the same kind of technology we're using in our device. But they're the definition of the problem of modern day medicine, which is you go to the doctor and this is you at that time of day, at that moment in your life. You may have had, 3 pints last night, which you don't usually have, and then you come back with high blood pressure and stuff like that. So it's all about the consistency and the fact that the algorithm we've built will be very hard to replicate, because it's not going to be accessible. Like, the only endpoint the user gets is going to be the device, and it's just going to be very, very hard to copy.
Just to add to that as well, essentially our USP will be the data that we've gathered and the way in which we interpret it. And the reasoning behind a patent on the product is because it's a unique way to gather the data. And the patents are for protection, and the algorithm is just secret sauce, as Mike said, but our USP is our data set.
Very cool. I'm curious about the customer lifetime value and how the business model exactly works. So at what point do you think someone buys this, and then is the subscription, can it be used for the whole family? Is it kind of, how do you think about that?
Yeah, that's actually something that we've looked into over the summer. So, like, obviously when it comes to launching, we will be doing subscriptions for free just to get traction, all that stuff. But when it comes to we would like it to be one device per family. So yes, we intend on having things like a family subscription where it's a thing that they can just wake up in the morning, they can give it to their kids, give it to their kids, use it themselves, place it on their neck. It gives family members the opportunity to track. You have the ability to check to see if your grandparents are checking in their overall health. But when it comes to subscriptions, we are intending to have a family subscription.
We're also going to add a product that kind of fits in with the existing healthcare monitoring systems, so like with the Apple Watch or the Fitbit, and we've talked to major companies I can't disclose the name of, that have said, yeah, that we can see you partnering with us down the line and kind of integrating into the general system of remote healthcare that's becoming more and more popular down the line, yeah. So.
Involved in the elder care space and many different devices and to monitor health in the home, but again, it's all to do with who pays, and in this case, the end user is. What if I'm 50, 60, 70, and think I'm very healthy, and there's never a chance of a stroke? How do you really sell it to the family who actually genuinely believes they're not going to buy a preventative product with this is preventative maintenance? It's very hard to, unless they've had an issue or a challenge or whatever, or unless a GP or a consultant says you need to go home and buy this. How do you get people to buy this?
So it's a lot about awareness, first of all. So we will definitely have to put a campaign forward about stroke awareness. Like, I don't know if any of you know, but there's more and more strokes happening in the young people, which is actually really scary. There's a massive problem with it in India. I think like 30% of all strokes are 20% of all strokes are under 30 or something like that. It's a nuts statistic. But you're definitely right. Like, we will partner with clinicians. We've talked to clinicians, and they've all said, like, yeah, I can see myself recommending this to Mr. XYZ to bring home with him. And it's also a big space for partnerships with, for example, the NHS, who are meant to grow their budget for preventive healthcare by, I think they're going towards 50-50, right?
It's not 50-50.
It's not 50-50 yet.
There's a very large transition from, like, as you said, government organisations such as the NHS, who are moving towards the idea of remote patient monitoring, preventative medicine, rather than people coming in-house to clinics.
Thank you.
Tell me again, why competitors, and what competitors are they around the world, and why hasn't this been done before?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, we don't know. But so far there aren't any direct competitors that would do stroke risk monitoring in the home. So there is, for example, the Apple Watch was certified recently by the FDA, I think it's the Apple Watch Series 10, for detecting atrial fibrillation, which is a condition that also, it affects the heart and it increases your risk of heart attack mostly, but it also is connected to stroke. So if somebody had an Apple Watch in our device, we would be able to give them an even more accurate reading. But like I can imagine that be the closest kind of competitor is like Fitbit or Apple Watch, but nobody is doing strokes. The only kind of way you get screened for a stroke is by getting a carotid ultrasound in a clinic, and you're meant to do those once a year. Like I can ask everybody here who's done a carotid ultrasound in their life, do you know what the heck I'm talking about? And yeah, like I don't think anybody really does. So
30 seconds,
no,
guys.
Not really.
The way in which we take our measurements, they wouldn't be possible. They'd have to incorporate an entire new device. So that AFib that Mike mentioned earlier, which it's a key marker for stroke, if you're getting those signals such as AFib, it's already too late. If it's detecting it by your hand, it means those vessels supplying blood to your brain, the damage is already done. We want to tackle it before that ever happens.
And it's just dealing with stroke before it happens is so much more beneficial to everybody, because it's like what you do now is you most commonly get a stent. So you go in for a procedure, it takes 1 day, you're in and out of the hospital. Whereas if you have a stroke, obviously you go into rehabilitation and then your quality of life is likely deteriorated forever. So yeah.
Well done, guys.
Thank you.
Just take the clicker. Oh, yeah. Help me welcome up the first team of the second half, Tenify.
Hey, we're Tenify, and we're striving to create a digital assistant to bring automation to property management.
There's no doubt real estate is a lucrative market. Yet having grown up with a mum deeply involved in the sector, I've seen the hidden pains involved in managing properties. Every day, property owners and managers around the world needlessly waste hours undertaking manual, repetitive tasks. Time that could be spent on other priorities, such as growing their business. Having interviewed a host of property management companies, it's clear that one place this pain is felt severely is dealing with rental inquiries.
Today in Ireland, as well as in a host of other countries, a property manager will put up an ad and within minutes be bombarded with hundreds of rental inquiries. They then have to spend hours reading through an avalanche of emails. This not only affects the property manager and owner, but the prospective tenants as well. It's clear that the property management industry needs automation, and we believe that rental inquiries is the perfect place to start.
And this problem is exactly what our MVP solves. The web application we've built syncs up to a letting agent's inbox and uses machine learning to detect and extract inquiries. The inquiries are displayed in a dashboard with the most relevant information highlighted. The letting agent no longer has to read through hundreds of emails to find the most suitable tenants. The best ones stand out immediately.
Our journey through LaunchBox has been unique. At the beginning of the accelerator, we quickly identified the need to pivot. But after interviewing 9 property management companies, we quickly discovered that we found a painful problem that businesses would pay to solve. We then built our MVP, and since launching last week, we now have 2 customers on a free trial.
The recent advances in AI are going to transform this industry, and the funding and acquisition of startups in the space are an indicator of just how big this opportunity is. The property tech space is booming, and we're in a unique competitive position to solve this.
We're developing a simple solution that customers in a small, uncompetitive pilot market are desperate for. We can easily acquire customers and gather valuable data, and from there, scale globally, expanding our offerings to create an end-to-end digital assistant that will revolutionize the $3.5 billion industry.
And we're in a unique position to capture this opportunity. We're both technical founders with a unique insight into the industry through my family's experience owning and managing properties. Our next goals are to reach product market fit with 10 customers and then secure our next round of funding, which would enable us to scale. The place in Dogpatch Labs and the cash prize on offer today would really help us bootstrap our way to achieving these goals. We would love if you take the chance to help us secure this huge opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Talk to me a little bit about the competitive landscape. So like you say, you're uniquely sort of positioned. Is it the particular part of it you're going for? Because there are a lot of property management tools out there. So talk to me a bit more about that.
So there are other startups with a similar vision to us. Examples of them, one's called Amy, one's called Stan, and one was called Dynasty.com. All those are in America. There's one or two in Berlin. And there's none of them in Ireland at the minute. And Dynasty.com, for example, got acquired for 60 million there from one of these big property management software packages called Appfolio. And again, there's Appfolio, these big ones, Appfolio, Yardi, and Buildium. And again, none of them are being used by the property management companies we speak to in Ireland. It seems to be that they're overlooking the Irish market. And that's why we think we can get a very simple solution and get in with customers here, create an amazing product, and gather valuable data before we have to compete with the likes of these.
So if basically from the same tool exists, but in the US and other places, is your goal then, your expansion plan for to scale to UK in the US, is it just to be acquired going there? How would you be able to break in if it's so?
So again, we think if we're starting in this uncompetitive pilot market, we can create an amazing product without competition, whereas these other startups are all competing with each other in the likes of the US. And then we think there is a possibility that we do get acquired, similar to Dynasty.com, or if we don't, we keep pushing forward and really trying to transform, because these property management softwares, the bigger ones that acquired, for example, Dynasty.com, they're still kind of doing it in an old school way. And it's the recent advances in AIs, I think, that's really piqued their interest. So we think by starting here and making an amazing product, having customers and expanding our offering will make it much easier to compete with those that had to compete with others in the market starting out.
And what is the business model? What's the plan?
So when we demoed our product to the different property management companies, we asked them what sort of price point would they be willing to pay a month. And the average price point they gave for this, for the very basic MVP, super simple, was €50 a month. And when we asked them about other property management software that they've used for other things, like not what we're doing, like lease administration, for example, they can charge up to like €200 a month. So we think by adding on a little bit extra, we could then bring our price point up to around €200 a month.
Hi. How about integration with other technologies within the property management?
Yeah, so at the minute, all we integrate into is email, because even like on Daft, inquiries come in on Daft, but Daft send them all through email, so everything still comes into their inbox. So it really seems the biggest place to integrate into still is an inbox, and that's kind of where we're starting with now. And there's a potential we could try and integrate more fluidly into Daft or into other systems, but it seems their email is very much the hub at the minute. And the startup we pivoted before was an email. So we created an email service, and we're very comfortable with syncing up into emails and all that.
And some of the property management companies, or the big ones, would have a CRM system that really needs to be integrated into.
There is CRM systems as well, yeah. And we're not sure exactly yet how we're going to integrate into certain things, but we think our full vision is to almost replace these CRMs with more of a digital assistant, a newer way of doing things as opposed to the older CRM systems that are in place now. So we're really hoping to replace them in a way.
There's also a big company called Property CRM in Ireland, and they're focused mainly on sales rather than lettings.
And just in terms of the AI advancements, surely everybody else or some of the other competitors are obviously the same thing as well.
Yeah, so they are. The ones we talked about in America are trying to do the same things. But again, we think we really are glad that we do see competition, because we think it shows a great sign that not only is a problem there, but that people are able to solve it. And we think our advantage is that we're starting in Ireland and able to get customers immediately.
Yeah, no, I applaud you for checking out the competition. Too many people who are starting with a new product don't check out the competition and what's already out there. But tell me, is Ireland then too small to get enough scale to be actually potentially profitable here before you go anywhere else?
I don't think so. So with the €50 price point, if we got 20% of the Irish market, like it is a small market, only 1,034 letting agents. We're hoping to get there by next summer, and that'd be over 100K in revenue. But then if we increase our price point up to 200, that would bring it up a lot more. So we're talking maybe just breaching the million mark. I think that's enough then to get over into other industries.
Thanks so much, guys. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great stuff. Without further ado, help me welcome up our next team, ConnectEDU.
Good afternoon. I'm Danny, founder of ConnectEDU. We empower financial advisors to retain their clients and win the great wealth transfer. Our team met studying our master's in business here at Trinity. During this time, Neil's employer was approached by Citibank to build a solution to the great wealth transfer. They weren't interested, but we were. So what is the great wealth transfer? In the next 7 years, $68 trillion will transfer from wealthy baby boomers to their heirs. Surprisingly, 9 times out of 10, these heirs change advisors upon inheritance. For advisors who earn money on assets under management, that's a huge risk. Here's why the next gen leave. Currently, Bill works with his advisor and develops a loyal relationship. Stocks go up or down, Bill trusts his guy. When Bill dies, Nancy doesn't have the same connection. The next gen cite shallow relationships and misaligned values as key reasons for departure. So, when her trusted peer recommends her own advisor, she quickly jumps ship. Our white-labeled digital channel solves this problem. Financial advisors can demonstrate their value early in a way that scales, resulting in generational loyalty. And here's what that looks like. Bill's advisor invites Nancy onto their private platform. Nancy logs in, and instantly, her perceptions begin to flip. Over 50% of millennials expect digital banking tools, which financial advisors don't currently provide. She can now connect with her financial advisor, as well as other next-gen on the platform. She has access to exclusive financial learning taught by trusted professionals. She sees firsthand the value her financial advisor provides her. So by partnering with us, financial advisors receive generational loyalty in a way they can measure. Additionally, they get next-gen financial insights at a user-level basis. We charge an annual subscription based on usage, and our pricing is just 0.1% of the next-gen value to these advisors. We're currently targeting small independent practices in the US, where there are over 24 million millionaires and 15,000 of these independent firms. The large players are slowly building internal solutions, and the small players are looking for a way to compete. As we prove our capabilities, we're already in discussion with some major banks who we can sell our superior solution to in 3 to 5 years' time. After 2 years of running our platform for marketing professionals, we're moving to this attractive industry. During LaunchBox, we rebuilt the platform to fit this use case, and it is now ready for deployment. We're already in discussion with PwC to bring our product to their global asset and wealth management phase 2 customers. So, if you know a financial advisor interested in winning the great wealth transfer, let's talk.
It's really interesting thinking of my adult kids. But anyway, I really think it's a great idea because I do know that, people that are in a situation that will be transferring, and so many of their kids or adult kids haven't got a clue what's coming down the road. So the idea of pulling them in early into the system is a great idea. Tell me, in terms of how do you sell it? How do you sell it? How do you market it? Who pays at the start? And how do you, like the beneficiary may not be the people who would appreciate the value of this. Can you understand what I mean? And so I'm trying to work out how do you make it work at the start?
Yeah, so the point I mentioned about how it's a very measurable, everything is built, as you might have seen in the demo, there's surveys where we are able to gauge the level of trust and connection with the next gen. So right now what we're doing is we're partnering with these financial advisors, either business development or marketing departments, so that they can pair their current solutions with ours, and all of a sudden they're able to measure and track their efforts and see what works best. So that's one of the key ways. And then another way, this is an industry very dependent on trust. So that PwC partnership that we're working on, I think, will be very important, because it's one thing we've had some success coming to people as startup students, but When all of a sudden they're hearing about us from PwC's Global Asset and Wealth Management Division, it changes the narrative and the conversation. So that's been really successful for us as well.
So is the idea you get the baby boomer parents on now, and then they're talking to their advisor, and that their children can see what's happening and getting an understanding of how things are going to transfer, or like taxes and stuff, like how, I guess that's kind of my confusion.
Yeah, so the parents actually won't interact with the platform. They have their relationship with their advisor, that's all good, but the parents do have an interest in their children to have a little bit more financial prowess, and so that when the time comes, they're ready to go. And the next gen also have their own financial curiosities and life goals, buying a house, big financial events that their advisors would be happy to help them with, because that establishes that relationship. But right now, it's only like 1/10 of them are proactive enough to like reach out to their parents, say, hey, can you get me in touch with Bob? Like, I have this question. This way, it's a much easier way to access and build that relationship with that next gen. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
It's like a client retention tool. So like they engage with the next gen in like a networking and online learning community. And then when they inherit the money, like that trust is there, so they don't go running to the next financial advisor. They stay with the current one.
Can I ask you about how you're managing the trials? So at this stage, it's amazing to get sort of PwC to have a conversation interested in doing the trials, but how's that going to work in terms of their competitors? Because imagine if it's successful with PwC and then it's also rolled out potentially with global partners, the immediate opportunity is for an acquisition, which is great, but it could be very early. How are you managing those partner relationships to really maximize the scaling and the value?
So PwC is like an advisory firm that does business with a lot of these different people. So when we partner with them, it's like a distribution channel for us directly to these guys. What we found is that like when we meet with these people, they're like, oh, 2 students, like kind of thing. But when we come in with them as a partner, it's more like a lucrative conversation, let's say.
And just to add on that, so PwC is hired by these firms to assess the business, where can we improve, and then currently they know we need more digital channels, you need to develop trust, but they don't have a solution to offer them. Now they can say, and here are these guys, if you want to partner with them, they're doing this for you. So that adds to their case rather than just kind of leaving them with an empty bag to hold.
I'm just slightly concerned about PwC. Most business, when they start off, they get someone local, whatever, and PwC, obviously, the size of company, the global nature. How quick are they going to endorse you? I would say they'll be very, very, very slow to endorse. They almost can't afford to endorse a startup or whatever. And therefore, my thought is, can you not go smaller, go local, go, whether it's a stockbroking company in Dublin or whatever?
And we are doing that as well. We're actually both from the Bay Area, so we're working with some small practices there that mostly target startup founders to partner with them as well. So it's kind of 2 channels.
Well done, guys. Big round of applause.
Thank you.
Great stuff. We're going to keep it moving right along. Help me welcome to the stage our next team, Hebe.
Good afternoon, we're Hebe, and today we want to talk about something that half the world's population experiences, periods. We surveyed 120 women who menstruate and discovered that 1 in 4 of them are dissatisfied with the current period products offered to them. Whether it's due to the health concerns such as toxic shock syndrome or the many toxins and chemicals found in generic pads and tampons. These hormone-altering chemicals, known as EDCs, can actually increase a woman's chance of cancer, infertility, and abnormally painful periods. The environmental concerns surrounding disposable period products are also vast. In just 1 pad, there's 4 plastic bags worth of waste. An average woman uses 22 of these products in just 1 cycle. Thus, globally, over 200,000 tons of waste is generated every year due to period products. Switching to reusable options such as menstrual cups allows you to reduce your carbon impact and they're toxin-free. However, many women tend to shy away from these products because they're messy, difficult to use, and very hands-on. So with this in mind, we created Hebe, a reusable, safe, smart, and easy-to-use menstrual cup with a unique applicator for both insertion and removal. There will also be inbuilt flow tracking technology that connects the cup to our mobile app. And since it's reusable and can last up to 10 years, it promotes responsible consumption and climate action.
But how does this work? First, you insert the cup inside your body with the help of our applicator. Then, you can check the status of the cup in our app to see how full it is and when it's time to change it. Finally, with the help of this same applicator, you can remove the cup out of your body, empty the content, and insert it back again. Now, when we compare Hebe with other products in the market, we can see that our solution is the only one that integrates the reusable, safe, easy to use, and smart components into one single product. Now, our product has a cost of 65 euros and can last up to 10 years. And for the app, we have a freemium model where the user can access certain features for free or pay 10 euros a month to unlock all the features. We also believe that the US is the ideal market to launch our product. Based on similar sized competitors, we estimate we can capture 1.5% of the women who already use insertable products such as tampons and menstrual cups. This will result in an opportunity of over $45 million in this region alone, and without considering the recurring revenue of the app. We also find out that the fastest way to get to the market is by focusing first on the applicator for insertion and removal without the tech components. To do this, we're currently working with DLAC, a design agency that has experience developing products for the female population. Once we launch this product into the market, we will start focusing on developing the smart components to make the second release of the second version of our product, which includes the smart and the app. With Sonia's experience in digital health, Emily's background in brand development, and my knowledge in product design and coding, we're confident that we can turn Hebe into our reality. We want to invite you all to be part of our journey and help us shape the future of people who menstruate. If you're interested in learning more about Hebe or want to join our waitlist, you can scan this QR code to visit our landing page. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. That's very cool. So is this like a medical product? Do you need to go through clinical trials?
No, actually, unfortunately for women, these kind of products are not regulated at all. So you just have to compile with like any other product regulation, so it's not hard. Once you add the tech components, it will depend on what information you're showing to the user to determine if this will fall under a medical device or not. So if it ends up falling under a medical device, which is not our goal, because we will not diagnose, we will just tell you information that then you can share with your doctor about. If you do find yourself in the medical device industry, you will find like fighting all these regulations, but it's not our goal. So you ended up just compiling with general safety regulations that are not hard at all.
And is it safe to have like some sort of like Bluetooth technology, I guess, inside you?
Yeah, so actually one of our advisors is a gynecologist, and she says it's completely safe. And we've also seen other products in the medical care industry, such as pacemakers, is the name? The pacemakers and like other products that already use these technologies and transmit data as well, and they're completely safe.
Cool. And last question: so you were saying, I think you thought you get 1.5% of the market, of the U.S. market. Have you done any like user interviews and stuff to understand like how comfortable people feel? Like what did you do to base that number off of?
Yeah. So actually, that's why we said that it's 1.5% of the women who already use insertable products. So right now we're not targeting the women who just use external products because of that, because they tend to have this more like bigger barrier to change to these products, while the women that already use menstrual cups and already use tampons have more prone to use insertable products like this. So we already like try to put it as minor as we can, because we cannot say, it's not realistic to say that we're going to target half of the world population.
It's such a mass market. Excuse me. It's such a mass market, and then you're going to the mass market central, i.e., USA. How do you think you are going to get both the finances to be able to tackle that market in any worthwhile way?
Yes, so you're completely right, and we actually define the US because it's the second biggest market for feminine hygiene products after China, but we didn't tackle China because of cultural differences. But then what we want to do is, we know that we can take this so far to the development of the prototype without the tech, so that's our goal. Launch first with the applicator just for insertion and removal. And what we want to do is launching through a crowdfunding campaign. So what we've seen is that there are several products that are in the same industry, like it's some industry that is having a lot of movement lately. And we've seen that these women are also looking to ways to support like small companies and reusable products, so that's our aim.
So crowdfunding.
Yes, crowdfunding, but not equity crowdfunding, reward-based crowdfunding. So like kind of like a pre-sell our product.
And are you talking about tackling all of the states in one go, or?
No, actually it's not all of the states. It's just like, it would be like all of the states in the first stage. Now that I think about it twice, it will be all of the states at the first stage. But of course it's still very niche. Like, it's not everyone who's just going to go and support the crowdfunding campaign.
And what would be your distribution chain?
We haven't thought about that yet because we're still in the development phase. But as soon as we have a prototype that we know it works and it's ready to mass manufacture, then we will start seeing how can we build those connections to distribute the product in the US.
Okay.
Can you just talk in terms of time to market then, because like you've got close to an initial sort of product which is just applicated, but the technology piece will sort of come later. What time period are you looking for? Excuse the pun, the time period, but in terms of time to market for the tech piece.
Okay, so first, right now we're already developing the prototype and we hope to have a final version of it by December and to launch the crowdfunding campaign in January next year. So we hope that we will launch all those first products of the crowdfunding campaign in March next year. And then as soon as we have those products already into the market, we'll start developing the smart components. And we estimate that that is going to take us around 1.5 years in development, but we're still running the non-tech version on that time. And then after that 1.5 years, we estimate to launch the smart version as well, but while selling also the non-smart version, because it's a matter of preferences here.
Well done, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Amazing. We have made it past the halfway mark in the second half. How are we feeling? How are we feeling now? Awesome. I am excited to introduce our next team up, Volumetrics.
Hi guys, my name is Oren and I founded Volumetrics. So imagine you had the choice to invest in a car dealership or a grocery store. The numerical data suggested that the car dealership was highly profitable and a better investment at the time. However, non-numerical information, such as the state of the car economy and the business model, show that the grocery store might be a more safer and stable investment for the future. Unfortunately, this crucial piece of non-numerical information was overlooked, and the investment was made in the car dealership, which ultimately led to bankruptcy. This is a real-world example and highlights a common challenge faced by software in the investment industry. The traditional quantitative methods and the software that employs them often focus solely on numerical data, overlooking crucial non-numerical information. This leads to suboptimal investment decisions and missed opportunities. Our innovative solution addresses this critical oversight in the market. We gather diverse data from regulatory filings, patent filings, equity research reports, news articles, and many more, and centralize them in one location where they can be quantified. Our technology serves as a foundational layer upon which many more solutions can be made, including risk management solutions, analytical solutions, and screening solutions. We also rank the data by recency, relevancy, and type, ensuring that the decision-making is using the most accurate and up-to-date information as possible. So here's how it works with our current client, Mediolanum. Mediolanum want to quantify patent risks, as many companies might be applying for the same patent. Up until now, they weren't able to. With our technology, they choose a company, and they choose the companies that they want to assess the risk of, and they pass it to our technology, upon which they get a result which they can use in their quantitative models. It's as simple as that. Our business model is designed to be scalable and flexible, and we plan to make money in two main ways. Number one, access to this raw data. There's various tiers ensuring that clients will only pay for what they need. And secondly, we'll have subscription fees for our custom solutions, as seen in the previous slide. We'll charge them based on assets under management, aligning our pricing model with the scale and complexity of our firm's operations. The market opportunity for Volumetrics is vast and growing. The compound annual growth rate is 13% for the quantitative financial markets, driven mainly by the increased complexity in financial markets, the vast amount of data, and the demand for more sophisticated investment technologies. In addition, the demand is evident. For every $3 made in the stock market, $1 is made using software, and numerical data governs 35.1% of US-owned equities, all of which can potentially benefit from our data. I'm the sole founder of Volumetrics, looking for a new co-founder, guided by Alan. I have a technical background, and I have a track record of delivering 107% CAGR on my financial portfolio over the last 4 years. Yeah, if you're in the investment sector and want to get in contact, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you very much.
Well done, Oren. Can you talk a bit about the competitive landscape? So when you look at solutions like this, like there's AI, there's machine learning, but then there's a big AI sort of wave of training sort of models. Is there a danger that what you're doing could easily just be, wiped out by some of the existing activity going on?
I would disagree with that. For the simple reason that we're working with Mediolanum right now, and they have, they're clueless, and everyone wants to know how to use this vector data to their advantage. And it's a common theme across financial landscape right now, like how can we use this vector data to our landscape? So they've simply given me a problem, and I've just used my technology to solve it. So I think a big economic moat of all of this will be the problems that they give me, and I'll be able to solve with the technology that I've built. I don't think people will have access to those problems as easy as I will. So I don't think there will be a danger in that, if that answers your question.
Sounds plausible, and you know are closer than that. Are you also paying for access to this data? Because you're looking at research reports and a lot of sort of activity. You're also having to purchase those.
Yeah, but the cost will be marginal based on what we charge to our customers, I guess. So the main cost will be equity research reports, who are working with Refinitiv to access, and we're on a free trial basis with them, so we're not actually paying for them at the moment. But if it did seem like they were a valuable thing to do, we would include them. But in terms of the other costs, we're paying for API usage, which is minimal.
Really interesting, Oren. Tell me, and it'd be lovely if the number of failures I've had in the last 20 years, I'd love to have been on board up to now. But anyway, tell me, trying to understand again who pays. Who pays, how many pays, how scalable is it?
So ideally, we don't exactly know the business model just yet because we're working with the banks to figure this out. But the quantitative banks will pay for this data because, as you know, quantitative banks have these models that will assess whether or not they buy the stock, let's say. And any more data such as this will be extremely valuable to them. So the financial developers, the people who make these quantitative models, will be paying for the data.
Okay, so to what extent can we come down the value chain? For instance, you had the car and the supermarket at the start. If I'm looking at business opportunities out there, franchises or other business, or what we want to either invest in or whatever, to what extent can I use it or not use it?
So a consumer point.
Yep.
So we have one endpoint that allows you to perform one of two things. You can perform a semantic or a hybrid search, or just keyword search. Actually, there's three things. So if you have, let's say, you read a document and you're like, well, there's a lawsuit against them, right? And you want to figure out more about that. You can type in the lawsuit, whatever the detail is, and you can either find it by keyword, find it by semantic search. So semantic search will understand what you're asking it and it'll spit out what it wants, or hybrid search, where you kind of filter it out by, let's say, all the documents with lawsuit, and then we'll perform a hybrid search on that, or a semantic search. So that's the meaning through it, yeah. If that was
if you were to view what your company would look like in 5 years' time, what would it look like? What does it look like when it's done, when it looks...
Okay, so this is an extremely hypothetical scenario, but... so what I would envision for this company is kind of like cutting out the entire investment buy-side analysis. So like, let's just say you have quantitative data and then you have our qualitative data. So you pair the two of them up together and you have your proprietary data saying, let's say this stock is worth X, and that's based on your own research. So now you can kind of train a machine learning model to kind of, filter out stocks based on your value preference. So then you can pass all these stocks to the buy-side analyst, cutting out, let's say there's 50,000 public companies in the world, whatever, the model spits out 10, and you can pass them to the investment buy-side analyst, essentially reducing your resources. And, investment bankers are expensive.
So just going back to kind of like how far down the chain it could go, could you be using this as like a robo-investor, or is that totally different?
No, I would not ever plan on using it for that. I would more view it as a tool to kind of, because I agree with you need critical analysis in investment, and there's no doubt about that. But there is patterns that you can use, like let's just say regulatory filings. Like there's a correlation between audit fees going up and fraud. So like you could be interested to see those kind of patterns and point them out, but no, there would never be a full automation. I wouldn't use it personally, so I don't think anyone else would.
Thanks so much. Well done. Great stuff. It is that time. We have come to our last presentation of the evening. Are we ready for it? You know that's not good enough. Are we ready for it? Help me to welcome up our last presentation of the evening, Verify a Vendor. Give him a round of applause.
Hi, I'm Maria from Verify a Vendor. There's been a recent surge in the growth of the amount of food trucks on the road recently, and it's not surprising that the global street food market is now valued at over 25 billion euro. But this recent expansion has led to an increase in more negative headlines also, relating to gas fires, food business closures, or health and safety breaches. And why do these occur is the question. It's because the current compliance system is not built for scale. There is no overarching governing body overlooking street food compliance, which means that it's up to the event organisers and the county councils to oversee this. And they're looking at fragmented systems, some of them being online, like revenue and tax compliance, and others are still paper-based, like the HSE for food business registration. So it's a fragmented process, which is tedious for everyone, and there is no fraud detection in place. That's why we're building Verify Vendor, a centralized solution for all compliance document management. Vendors can upload their documents, authenticate them, and share them along with their business information to take out the need for tedious and repetitive event applications. It also gives peace of mind to the event organisers so that they don't get a surprise when they have an inspection at an event or if they have an insurance claim. And with events in Ireland growing to the scale that they take in over €1 million in pitch fees alone, there's no more room for error here. There's an increasing number of inspections at events, which means that it's harder to get licenses for large events also. Our platform will also allow for an additional level of trust to be built between the vendors and the members of the public. We charge the vendors a monthly subscription, and we also charge the event organisers in accordance with the scale of their event. As I've mentioned, the global street food market is huge. And what's also an exciting part of this is that the regulation technology sector is growing nearly 3 times as fast. And that's why we believe the timing is right for us at Verify a Vendor. And it's already been proven by other sectors. Agriculture, construction, childcare, healthcare have all seen regulation technology come in as a disruptor for processes. And to build this, I'm working with one of the biggest names in street food in Ireland, Shawnee McCleary, who set up nearly 200 food trucks in the last 2 years with his consulting and manufacturing business. I'm heading the product side of things thanks to my degree in computer science and business. And so far, we've already completed our customer validation through the NDRC pre-accelerator. We've already done a pilot with our proof of concept technology with Otherside Music Festival. And we're looking to partner with the largest insurer for traders in Ireland. And we're looking to expand further on next year. So if you would like to get in touch with us, please follow the address at the screen or talk to me after. Thank you.
Well done. So a long wait since 2 o'clock. Can you talk to me about sort of the other side? So I can see how you can make things a lot more convenient for the street vendors and sort of the festivals. But it's obviously a bigger opportunity than just a document store. Is there an opportunity as well on the other side in terms of the sort of the state and sort of city councils that have to issue sort of compliance certificates. Is there a role that you can fulfill sort of on that side as well? And is that something you've looked into?
It's still, I suppose, compared to a lot of the things we've seen today, it's very early stage kind of entire industry, you know. So I suppose personally, yeah, I've definitely seen over the last couple of years set up 200 food trucks, and the pressure's kind of coming on me from both sides. The vendor and the government bodies have been calling and saying, look, these are being set up at a ridiculous speed. People are making solid businesses from them, but this regulatory piece kept appearing, and it just hasn't been done in unison yet. As Maria's mentioned there, you've got the HSE, fire safety, gas safety, insurance documentation, and it's just very fragmented. So many resources being wasted, and nobody actually knows what the answer is. And I think that we are better positioned than anyone in Ireland, and I'd even go into the UK to say that we know this market inside out, and we're very well positioned to roll it out kind of collaboratively.
And I'd say, just to circle back, that we're trialling this with the private sector, so that we realise that a government sale is a lot slower and a different process. So we're trying to prove this proof of concept and gain the initial traction through the private sector to then lead on to perhaps a public sale.
And the private sector being?
The event organisers.
The event organisers.
Going straight to the county councils.
Yeah, no,
sorry, just Maria had touched on there. This year alone, just last week, Electric Picnic, it took in over €1.1 million just in pitch fees from vendors. So that's just giving you a bit of the scale of, Electric Picnic, I suppose the Ploughing Championships, Balmoral, the show, this is all just in Ireland, same kind of level, so it's a huge pain point.
Yeah, look, it's a great idea and a great name. And tell me, in terms of where do you see it in Ireland? Just take Ireland for a second, and I know it's a very small market for the potential. To what extent, what are you talking about in terms of potential revenues, profitability, or whatever?
We'd see ourselves, I would say, positioned to if you look at the RECI certification in Ireland, the Recognised Electrical Contractors of Ireland, which is kind of semi-state subsidised, and also every electrician in Ireland has to pay monthly, annual, and then recurring kind of fees to update their certifications. So some are along those lines, and I think we are kind of planning just on perfecting the model in Ireland before going further afield, but it'll be very kind of transferable to the UK especially, which is 10x the vendors, county councils, private event organisers, festivals.
So I still ask, what's the potential revenue in Ireland?
The potential revenue, there's two pieces I suppose we're just finalising in terms, it's that scalability piece, so you're not going to charge Electric Picnic the same as Enniscorthy Farmers Market, but we, I suppose, realistically just kind of finalising that piece at the minute. If you just took the vendors alone, for example, you're talking about €400,000 a year annual recurring revenue, just from a monthly membership fee of maybe 35, 40 euros. So that's just the vendors, and really the kind of honeypot is the private and public sector, So that's my own view personally. Maria, would you like to add anything in there?
So sorry if I missed this, but on the vendor side, so both sides are paying for the platform, and on the vendor side, then is it you pay one kind of yearly subscription to be part of that, or if you have like a food truck market that you may have like a cycle through different vendors every weekend, like are you then paying each time you're verifying someone? Like what's the actual?
No, I suppose they would. Oh, sorry, go on ahead, Maria.
So there's kind of two elements to the platform of the authentication piece, and that's what we're starting out with. So at the moment, the vendors aren't charged, but as we build this out and build our database, we'll have more of like an Airbnb style, so that's where we're mentioning that's our part of the model. So they won't be charged to attend an event using our software as such, but if they want to advertise themselves, it would be similar to the Airbnb framework that way.
It's kind of putting them, they're up there at that gold kind of standard of compliance.
The vendor is, and then the event or the space that's hiring in the vendors would then have a subscription fee to see who is verified.
Yeah, if you imagine your Electric Picnic now trying to onboard 160 food vendors, who's trusted, who's not, who's going to show up in a rusty old horse box, you can now go on like Tinder, swipe, choose, book them in, and
you'd imagine the insurance industry would really love to see this, and they might be revenue potential as well.
Yeah, that's another potential partnership, I guess, because we're so early stage. We're looking at more of them as a partnership, but yes, you are right, because there's a couple of main providers in Ireland, so that's why we're in the early talks.
Well done, guys. Well, that concludes our presentations for LaunchBox Demo Day 2023. Let's give all the teams a big round of applause. So I'm happy to say that the job of today now shifts from this side of the room to this side of the room. I know that they are in capable hands. Judges, let's give them a round of applause as they go off to decide the fate of these amazing teams. You guys can make your way on towards the back. And before everybody here moves, I have one more slide, which is that we have a QR code. These judges will be making the final decision on the day. However, this is your opportunity to have your say. There will be an audience vote winner. This QR code will remain up for the next 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not giving you an exact amount of time, so scan it now, whether you're here or at home. Scan the QR code, have your say, let us know which team you liked the most. And in the next 5 minutes, we're going to set up for an amazing panel discussion led by our CEO, Kenneth Finnegan. We'll give you 5-10 minutes, use a bathroom, come on back as we set up. Let's end it with a big one clap. Ready? 3, 2, 1. See you in 10 minutes. I have the great pleasure of kicking off this amazing panel discussion led by our wonderful CEO, Kenneth Finnegan. Let's give him a round of applause.
I absolutely don't deserve a round of applause. I'm kind of like all these guys sitting over here, kind of like, it's like you can take a deep breath now and just go like, oh God, the results have still to come. Okay, there's still a little bit of tension here. So I just want to, while we wait for the results to come back, we've got a great panel here. We've got past and kind of like, it's like very, very recent past LaunchBox participants. So we're going to maybe go through a little bit of the history of LaunchBox from 10 years ago from 2013, right, to 2023. So can everybody, we'll start with ladies, can everybody introduce yourself and just talk about kind of like your journey, if you want, like your experience on LaunchBox and give us a kind of like a sense of that journey you've been on.
So, hi everyone. So, I'm Emily. I did a master in entrepreneurship here in Trinity Business School. I heard of LaunchBox and we've tried so hard to get in for months. So we won I think it was called the Provost Challenge. It was around sustainability and fashion and all that. That got us into...
Can everybody hear okay?
And that got us into... Yep. That got us into Dragon's Den competition, which we didn't make it because, well, level was pretty high there. So we kept working really hard on our application and we finally made it to LaunchBox. We didn't win LaunchBox, but it was a great experience. I don't know if you want me to touch on... We'll
come back to it. We'll just go through the introductions first and kind of and set context of the conversation. This is where you get an opportunity to talk about the program as well. It's like we've heard your pitch.
Of course,
so yeah.
Of course. I suppose, like, I had no experience in any sort of entrepreneurship in general until I joined the Test Founders Weekend in February. And I remember speaking to Joe before I even knew who he was and who was involved with LaunchBox. And I remember we were just having a little conversation. I said, I just want to get to LaunchBox because I heard about it and I just thought it was a brilliant opportunity. So yeah, this summer was my first proper experience in the business world. Like, you know, at the start, like I was literally just wrapping my head around like the abbreviations and things like that. Like coming from a human health and disease background, you know, they don't teach us things like that. But like, yeah, that's been my journey so far, and I've learned a lot.
And congratulations, great pitch today.
Thanks very much.
Charlie, you're on the 2019 LaunchBox. It was my first year in Trinity. I remember well. Do you want to maybe give a quick introduction and talk about kind of like the impact and where you are now?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Charlie. I'm co-founder and co-CEO at Bounce Insights. We were 2019. What LaunchBox gave to us was 4 months of doing what we loved. I turned down my J1 to do LaunchBox, and it gave us 4 months of none of us really knew what we wanted to do. And when we started in LaunchBox, we realized this is all we want to do for the rest of our lives. And I think that was the best thing it gave us. You gave us office space, you gave us funding to make you feel like you were important. You put us in front of people who are infinitely smarter than you, like Eric and Isolt and all these people, and that was completely transformative. I don't think we were 4 years down the line. We are almost 20 people, and we probably wouldn't be where we were if we didn't have 4 months of dedicated time with people building it and every single question being answered and every single introduction being made, and just realizing how incredibly sound the entire Irish ecosystem is, that everyone could meet you for a coffee, and I still employ that type of mentality today, and yeah, kind of taught us everything we know.
Yeah, super nice. Eric,
sure.
Tell us you're the veteran here.
Yeah, I suppose I am. Is this thing on? Okay.
Project.
Yeah, no, I had a little bit of a oh shit moment earlier when you said it's the 10-year anniversary, because I was in that first year, and that was like, no, it's not. Oh God. So the first year actually LaunchBox, this building didn't exist. I think this was like kind of a field where they put trash. Yeah. The first year was over, above the kind of front arch. And like the weekend before, John Whelan was like, hey, we got a bunch of IKEA furniture, pop on over and set it up. So it was actually like literally just me and Isalt from Food Cloud who showed up that weekend. And we put together all the LaunchBox furniture. And I was able to then vampirically steal some of her talent and drive that I then used to help me with Artomatics. So yeah, no, when I joined LaunchBox, I'd been working on Artomatics full-time for a year, doing business completely backwards. So my background was academia, generative AI of all things. And I was trying to, which is thanks ChatGPT, because now people know what that is. But we were doing art creation for video games. And, I'd started off with this solution from my PhD, and now I was looking for a problem to map it to. So doing business backwards. And I think what was really like powerful in LaunchBox was just like, I was just building stuff kind of with no real direction. I thought, well, if I just build enough stuff, eventually something will stick, right? And I really had no idea how to do market research or even what those words were. And I think that was really like what was so powerful about my LaunchBox journey is it kind of gave me my bearings and a compass and kind of pointed me in the right direction. And yeah, to reemphasize the community, Enterprise Ireland, NDRC, like all, it kind of like LaunchBox really kind of teed me up for long-term success.
No, really good. And look, I think like within the confines, if you want, of the university, within the walls of the university, it's a unique ecosystem. What are your kind of like big takeaways, if you want, from that ecosystem? What was it kind of like? You came into LaunchBox, you participated on it. You said it was kind of like an introductions to Enterprise Ireland, but like the surprises that you were going like, actually, this has been really useful. And did you bring them on that journey with you? Did you bring those kind of like those connections, that network, those learnings, etc.? So, do you want to
Oh yeah, I mean, like it's great because it's foundational, right? So like, I mean, the foundation is always with you. And yeah, no, I mean, all the people I met back then still talk to, still talk to Isalt. Been a couple of years though. Called during the pandemic, but pandemics. But yeah, no, I mean, like it's all one big kind of holistic community, I'd say, in Dublin. So, it's great.
Charlie, do you have any kind of like key takeaways, things that you gained on that experience?
Completely. Well, there's structure to it. I think when anyone starts has an idea, like our idea was pretty crap, honestly. Like it's all about execution, and I think when you have, if there's a big enough problem, and LaunchBox kind of gives you a structure to, okay, what do I do first, and then what do I do second, and then what do I do third, and when I inevitably fail with step 4, what do I do then? And I think that's really good because you can come in with so much energy and ambition and drive all that sort of stuff, but then you just go in circles. And I think it helps kind of keep you, I kind of use the description of like pulling up the rails on a bowling alley, and you just like fling people down and then just whack off, and it kind of keeps you in some sort of straight and narrow. So that was the big learning for us, is like it kind of added structure to the chaos and like the inevitable pain and everything that goes wrong in a startup. And you were also then surrounded by people who were also going through it, and people who got through it and out the other side, which is also very important for keeping hope.
There's two things to that. I remember having a conversation with Isalt once, the founder of Food Cloud that year, and she had been in a supermarket one Friday evening. She'd come back from meeting with the supermarket manager, and he had said to her, "Don't bother. Food Cloud is a stupid idea. There's no point." She was sitting in front square, totally dejected and demotivated. If she didn't have LaunchBox, if the program wasn't there for her to come to on Monday morning, Food Cloud wouldn't exist today. So it's a kind of like it does keep you on the straight and narrow, but also it's your peers that bring you through. Just one other question, because I was asking this to Gavin yesterday. You guys had a massive pivot when you were on LaunchBox as well, right?
We've had about 6, I'd say.
Okay.
No, we had Yeah, we kind of one major pivot, which actually happened largely after, because our original idea was, as we very young and immaturely called it, the sexy triangle, was this idea around that in order to get anyone to participate in research, you needed to incentivize them well, and brands were disconnected from people. So we had this triangle of like, reward people well, they'll give their opinion, brands understand consumers, make better products, in this kind of like triangle. And all of our incentives were through in-store retailers. What happened in April of 2020 as I was doing my thesis and trying to raise funding for Bounce was COVID hit. So we lost our entire reward network, and then we tried to say that, oh, well, it's actually, we'll license our technology to the research agencies, because surely they want to innovate and build the future and connect with respondents. And after like 2 years of building the technology, they were like, it's amazing, but we have no money to invest, and actually we're not innovating in this space, and you need to go back to the drawing board. And then we went back again and realized, oh, it's actually a different thing. But what we realized, the direct opposite of Eric, is there was this massive problem, but we were just shifting the solution until we eventually got there. And that's why I talk about like, your why has to be really important with why you're doing a startup, because it's not like this like amazing idea and then you flawlessly drive towards this incredible acquisition and then you're perfectly happy the whole time. Like, it's not like that. But if your why of like, the first day I stepped in LaunchBox and I loved trying to solve problems, it didn't matter what problem I was trying to solve or with what solution, you put a structure around that and you put good people around that and you'll do it for forever. And I think that was important for me, because in school you talk to doctors, accountants, lawyers, and then in here I saw Eric, I saw Isolt, and I'm like, oh, I can do whatever I want, and I have the structures to do that. So that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, no, it's all about the growth mindset, and that's one of the core kind of like tenets of the accelerator. It's just like, it's okay to pivot, it's okay to fail. You know, it's kind of like, it's like, just pick yourself up and brush yourself down. I usually say have a glass or two of wine, have that little cry, and then move on, and keep on going. Hannah, your biggest takeaway from your recent experience on LaunchBox, what was your kind of like your best?
Honestly,
yeah.
I think like what you're after saying there about like the whole, chopping and changing, and it's okay to fail. I really like felt more confident through LaunchBox about my failures, essentially.
Yeah.
And even like my way of thinking about problems has changed. Like things that were, seemingly like intuitive before, like I actually kind of broke them down into small, like achievable goals and ways. And I remember like the first week of LaunchBox, we had a masterclass with Kevin Sexton from Alpha Innovations. And honestly, that like set me up for like what I'm doing now. Like the Critici, like the whole thing now is recruiting peer reviewers and people. It's the human element and like being able to understand like what the customer needs and everything. Kevin Sexton like explained customer discovery in the best way. And I remember he stayed an hour and a half past like his talk, just chatting to me about everything. And like that was one part of LaunchBox. But I saw all of the speakers that we have had and the people who've come in, they have happily taken time to meet outside of hours, answering emails. Des Power here today, he met with me, he provided plenty of support, but like so many people. So yeah, I think it's, now I'm probably just going on a little tangent now, but I think it's... in
the right space.
What?
You're in the right place.
But yeah, I think just like not being afraid to fail, and also just kind of like getting in contact with people, and just chancing it, I guess.
No, really good. I don't know which team I was mentoring during the summer, but I remember having a conversation about microdosing on failure. It's like, that's what we try to do here. And in Tangent, it's like build your resilience up to kind of like failure. It's like, it's 7 pivots if you want, kind of like, so you have to change your direction on multiple different times, and that's so, yeah. Did I just add another pivot there?
No, he said 7 more and you're good.
Okay, yeah. Emily, tell us your kind of like outstanding kind of like takeaway from the program.
I'd say it's kind of like you can break them down into 3 main takeaways. So the first one was how much you should benefit and take advantage of the community you're with for those 3 or 4 months? I can't remember. It's really like we benefited so much from cross team support. So sometimes we had questions and we would just go to the next desk and be like, look, I don't have any computer science background, can you support me there? And then some other people would come to us for like kinds of more like business related questions, because that's my background. So just that was kind of like point number one. Point number two would be, yeah, I'm trying to structure my thoughts here. Point number two would be how great the mentoring part was. So we've had, I think, this weekly meeting with Joe and our team, where we would sit down and be like, oh God, what do we...
Really, poor Joe, where is he? I'll
yeah,
stand up for him.
I'm sorry, that must have been hard for you, but like, we'd sit down and be like, oh, we really don't know where to go. So that was more, I wouldn't call that mentoring, I would call that coaching. He was basically... Therapy. Yeah, that was clearly therapy. Because like sometimes entrepreneurs, they just need this little boost of energy to recharge their batteries and start again when they're losing all hopes. So this is what I realized, that you need to surround yourself with mentors or coach or people you go to for references and support. And point number three was the ecosystem that LaunchBox provided. So there's so many connections with LaunchBox, Enterprise Ireland, DocBatch Labs, and I found a job at DocBatch because I actually went to my very first Fridays for startup through LaunchBox. I told them, oh, there's this great event that's happening, you should definitely go there. And now I'm the program manager for First Fridays for Startup. So again, like it's all about ecosystem and make great use of those relationships. So that would be those 3 points.
Yeah, no, and look, I think everything does come back to community, and this is the center of gravity for that community. It's like everybody has kind of like tied community in there. It's so important. I'm going to ask maybe, it's like, I'll ask you maybe a tougher question. It's like, I've asked you what's really good. Is there anything that you would kind of like, having been on a student accelerator, room for improvement? It was something kind of like a retrospective. We probably should ask this in private. I don't want to kind of like, it's like, but if retrospectively, is there kind of like anything that you kind of like, you'd like to give us feedback on? And if you can't, that's absolutely fine. Actually, if I get silence from the panel discussion, we'll take questions from the audience.
Maybe I have one. So none of my co-founders and myself included had any tech background, which is really bad, and you should not do that, by the way, learnings. But like, it would be nice to maybe have like some kind of speed dating with potential interns or potential CTOs or potential people that would want to join the startup.
Tech skills, yeah.
Tech.
Oh, now everybody's going to jump on that question. Sorry.
Well, no, actually, this year, like, we had some amazing interns. Like, maybe that wasn't around whenever you were doing LaunchBox, but like we had Nikita and William, and Nikita had a computer science background, and she helped me out a lot because I don't have a technical background. So I think maybe LaunchBox has like grown since then. The one thing I would say.
I'll listen to that tone. I'm gonna like...
And, okay, maybe it's on me. I did have deferrals I had to sit, and it was scheduled at the same time as LaunchBox, and I would have loved to have had that time, or LaunchBox, maybe just the dates could be just changed. That's it.
No, it's and it is a problem.
It happens.
That's kind of like it. So sometimes it's in our control, sometimes it's out of our control.
But otherwise, fabulous.
Oh, she's on a roll.
Actually, on that, we had to write our master thesis at the same time that we did LaunchBox, so that was quite packed. We had to put LaunchBox on the side, and Joe was like, guys, your priority is the startup. And we're like, yeah, but we need to pass. So that was a tough one.
Charlie?
Yeah, I think the only thing for us is I tried to drop out after LaunchBox because I was like 4 months of like so excited, this is all I want to do. And then you final year, and I think the tricky thing is that like you have like, I think in our intake there was a lot of like first and second year students as well. And I think you finish and then you go straight back into college, and most people stop. Like a lot, and I think there's like a connective tissue that's needed between supporting people to the end of their college degree, because like for us, we like had investment offers at the end of LaunchBox, and I was like, but then I was going straight into finals, and I was bartending, and then I was trying to do bounce. And I think, look, it's a really tricky challenge, but I think what happened to a lot of the people I know from LaunchBox and other people who are working on startups is, as like even after I'd done LaunchBox and after we had like raised funding, people in my year in business in Trinity still were like, oh, what are you doing next year? Are you going to KPMG? And I was like, I'm doing my startup. What do you mean? So it's very easy to fall back into the like, oh, I should just do the safe job, I should just do the traditional route, or I should just do this. And I was very lucky that I had amazing co-founders. So like we worked evenings in here, we worked weekends, we got given a space down in Trinity Tower to keep us going. And like, but I think that's because like we generally didn't leave you guys alone. Like we were just like, please help us, please help us. And eventually then we're now 4 years down the track, but like everything is against you when you have to go back into college and you've other influences. And I think even if there's some sort of connective tissue, I think that's something that could really help keep more companies alive long enough to make it work.
And it's a really good point. It's been brought up actually as up to the highest levels this year actually by some of the LaunchBoxers and ourselves. And I see Michelle there as well. She's familiar with this challenge that we have within the university as well. So really valid point. Eric.
So I'm a really simple man, and I have simple needs. So more comfortable chairs.
More comfortable chairs. You and the prize for best answers. So we have a lot of students watching here today as well, right? So and they're looking at kind of like your successes, your impact, and your stories, and they're being inspired. I guess what advice would you give kind of like the budding kind of like entrepreneur that maybe is looking at Tangent, maybe looking at LaunchBox, wants to come in and maybe get some mentorship, participate on one of our programs? What's your piece of advice that you'd kind of like give to our budding entrepreneurs, student entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one, right? Because like there's a whole spectrum of student entrepreneurs, and they all need different advice. So, if I could find some kind of first principle of entrepreneurialism in general. I'd say that like kind of restate the whole theme of the panel is like it's really tough. You have a lot of bad days. You have to make a lot of personal sacrifices. You're going to pivot 28 times, so 21 more to go. So no, it's super tough, right? And I'd say you're going to need drive and passion in whatever it is you want to do, and like. For me, anyway, and I think this is, again, very different for everyone, but for me, it was kind of like, I guess I kind of had like this, I imagined what the world would look like in 5 or 10 years, and I kind of had this vision, and I thought like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it was all around generative AI and stuff, because that's what I did my PhD on. So kind of just like a dog with a bone, I suppose. And I was like, oh yeah, like I see technology, I see like where the world will probably go. I wonder if I can help, build a bridge between point A and B, and I was just like very passionate about that because I did a PhD, so that was my whole world. So that was like the source of my passion, and everyone's source of passion is different. But I'd say that would probably be the first principle of all of this: is you need just a shit ton of passion.
Yeah, great answer. It's like the why, isn't it?
Yeah, mine's like it's funny from learning from people. Eric, it's going to be a very similar answer, but like my whole philosophy on startups shifted over the last 4 or 5 years from like having like a destination-based mindset. So like when we get to LaunchBox, I'm going to be happy. When I raise funding, we're going to be so happy. When we do this, when we do that, when we do that, and you're in this perpetual cycle of it's just terrible for mental health and everything. And I think I read this book called Originals by Adam Grant, and it's about like creativity and entrepreneurs and all that sort of stuff. And like the final line is like drop the pursuit of happiness for the happiness of pursuit, which is basically what Eric just said. Brilliant. And it's an incredible piece of advice, because if your why isn't strong enough, when everything inevitably falls apart, you have to do it for like whether Bounce gets acquired like Artomatics did, or what it does, what Food Cloud did, or it ties a pretty little bow and I walk away. I want to look back on like it being the most incredible experience, and whether there's 20 million in my bank account or I go and get whatever next job I want to do. I think if you have that attitude, you can take the hits so much easier. And I think the first day I stepped on one of the whiteboards in this building, I knew it was like, whether Bounce is 100 people or just me and the people I'm here with, like that's enough. And like I definitely didn't have that back in the day, but that's like my driving principle now. And I think it's funny, the longer you're in it, and as you watch the world change and you watch other startups fall away and people doing it for this kind of romantic idea of an acquisition, I think anyone who's been acquired, I haven't, but everyone who I've spoken to is just like, so yeah, like I kind of miss what I'm doing, or like I got like it happens, and then it's like, oh, why was I looking forward to this and kind of not enjoying the journey? So That's the biggest piece of advice I have.
Yeah, like it's really important, isn't it? It's like when you come up the stairs here, you're met with the journey of the journey of an idea, and it is to kind of like learn to love the journey. It's like it's not the destination. It's like we have to have the passion, we have to have the goals, but it's actually. I was talking to somebody earlier on, and they said to me, actually, Ed had said, yeah, he's like, I'm not really good at running businesses. I just like starting them up. After about 7 years, I kind of like sell it on, or I remove myself from it, or kill it, and then start another one. And kind of like it's like it is that kind of the passion of the journey.
For me, I think it's to remember that LaunchBox really does facilitate and nurture like everyone from every stage. Like I remember, you know, I suppose my advice is kind of aimed at people like myself who, you know, I have no business background, but I have innovative ideas and I get really excited about entrepreneurship, but I always felt quite intimidated before I got to understand what was involved in all of this. And I think whenever you enjoy or join this community, it's actually like one of the most like helpful. Like it is a community at that, you know, it's very like, what's the word? Like you're working together.
Like
and I guess
supportive ecosystem.
It's supportive. Yeah. So I suppose if you have ideas and you have passion, like there are going to be people who have more experience than you, but they are the people you learn from. So I reckon you just go for it. And yeah, LaunchBox is a great place to get started, to be fair.
But also like all types of businesses. Like not every business is going to be $1 billion. Yeah. Like, and you shouldn't strive for that either. You should strive for what is best suits you. And if that is, you know, if you're talking about food trucks, like if you are just super passionate about food and food truck to give yourself enough money and love what you do, that is equally as impressive as building a $100 million business. Yeah. And I think that's what's going to encourage more people to set up their own companies, that they are constantly comparing themselves to, you know, Wayflyers, who are incredible companies, and, you know, Aidan and Jack are like incredible founders. Amazing to see that level of scale and what's capable. But like you can be equally impressed by someone who didn't take the traditional route and just built a company that they love doing and it's a lifestyle business. I think that's amazing, and what LaunchBox nurtures, no matter what type of business you want to be.
And I think it's actually, it comes back to kind of like the principle of Tangent as well. It's like it's for all students from all different disciplines. The final words, the last word, Emily, what's your...
Yeah, I would say like, so when we got onto LaunchBox, we were like, oh my God, so excited and everything. And then you see pictures from people at the beach and you're like, why did we decide to do that again? Yeah. So you're thinking you're kind of alone in this journey. Hold on a
second. I do think I saw LaunchBox class of 2022 on the beach at one stage all together. Well, and it was like a few times. It was a hot summer. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. Sorry, I pulled that wrong.
But like, so you were kind of thinking, okay, are we the only crazy ones who wants to do that? And when LaunchBox done, you're kind of like, all right, am I alone in this journey? Are there more crazy entrepreneurs out there? So my advice to all the students out there would be like, make sure to reach out for help. The community is so friendly. Go to events, introduce yourself. Even if your business is not going anywhere, just keep on going to events, networking events, first startup, promotion, that kind of stuff, because Brilliant. People are going to make connections, or founders weekend where you might find another co-founder or things like that.
Just keep going, I think, is the message there. So thank you so much, everybody. Round of applause for our panel. Here we go. Our Chief Innovation and Enterprise Officer is going to hand out the prizes, right? All right, drum roll. Stamp your feet. All right, in third place, we have Verify a Vendor. Congratulations. Let me just take a... No. Well done, congratulations. Second place. That was a bit preemptive there. Drum roll again, please, come on. Second place winner is Neurosonic. Well done, gents. Well done, congratulations. All right, the all-important audience vote. So the winner of the audience vote is Courtesy. All right. Yeah, round of applause. Go ahead. Joe is much better at this than I am. It's like, yeah, thanks, Joe. It's like, that's good. Okay, first place winner. Drum roll, please. Hebe Adventures. Well done, congratulations. Great, well done. And I just want to say that Rob got his tonsils out last week, was it? So fair play. Well done, congratulations. So, as first place winners, there's a prize for the first place winners. Everybody will get a cash prize, but also they get 6 months in Dog Patch, courtesy of Dog Patch as well. So we just want to say thank you very much to Dog Patch Labs as well. All right, well done, everybody. Look, I think it's been an absolute pleasure and treat and an honor. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. We're so grateful, honestly, that you have come through the doors with your ideas and you've got to this place. This is the end of this chapter, but I am absolutely certain that it's going to be such an interesting future for every single one of you. I want to see you back here. I want to see you sitting on panel discussions and talking about your success. I talked about this idea of micro-dosing on resilience earlier on, right? But I heard somebody recently talk about perseverance. So keep persevering and be resilient, and you're going to be amazing. Thank you so much, and congratulations, everybody. Now, we will all retire to the lobby where there's a wine reception and we can mingle and talk to each other. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Do one clap. 3, 2, 1. Hey, well done, everybody. To the reception for wine. Thank you so much. That is Demo Day 2023.